Pareshbhai invested heavily in his new high-end boutique on Godod Road, designing a professional space meant to signal prestige to every passerby. The centerpiece of his investment was a custom signboard. He spent a significant portion of his budget on a high-visibility display, intending to capture the attention of every driver on this busy thoroughfare. But he faced a logistical hurdle, a mature 10-year-old Osopolov tree. Its dense canopy completely obscured his expensive branding from the road. Looking at his balance sheet, Pareshbhai saw the tree as a direct barrier to his return on investment. To him, the path to a successful launch required its immediate removal. Bypassing the local municipality's permit process, Pareshbhai hired a crew to arrive early on a Sunday morning, while the neighborhood was still asleep. It took a decade for that tree to establish its canopy, but it was dismantled in under 10 minutes. The crew lopped the branches and severed the trunk, leaving only a raw, exposed stump. As the crew cleared the debris, Pareshbhai stood back to admire the view. For the first time, his shop stood in full, unobstructed view of the street. He viewed the morning as a success. However, by stripping the storefront bare, he had turned his own sidewalk into a concentrated heat trap for the upcoming April sun. This diagram illustrates the mechanics of an urban heat island. It shows how solar energy interacts with two different urban surfaces. On the left, the tree canopy acts as a biological shield, absorbing the incoming radiation before it touches the ground. Simultaneously, the tree performs evapotranspiration, releasing moisture that actively lowers the local air temperature. On the right, without protection, the asphalt functions as a thermal battery. It absorbs the sun's energy and radiates it back as intense infrared heat. By removing his tree, Pareshbhai eliminated the block's only natural cooling system, forcing the pavement outside his shop to absorb every watt of solar energy. By April, the local temperature in front of the boutique became unbearable. Without the Osopolev's canopy, the sidewalk temperature spiked far above the city's average. Customer behavior shifted instantly. Shoppers who previously lingered in the shade or parked their bikes under the tree now bypassed the storefront, seeking cooler paths on the other side of the street. The signboard was now perfectly visible, but the environmental conditions prevented anyone from standing long enough to read it. The disruption reached the shop's internal systems as well. Deprived of their natural habitat, local birds began nesting in the shop's AC vents, clogging the units with debris and further straining the building's cooling capacity. Visibility has no commercial value when the storefront is physically hostile. Pareshbhai's marketing decision had effectively sterilized the sidewalk. The situation became critical when Pareshbhai's grandson spent a short afternoon waiting outside the shop in that exact unshaded spot. The boy collapsed from a sudden, severe case of heatstroke. The medical emergency was a direct consequence of the localized heat trap created at the storefront. The attending doctor confirmed that these microclimates, pockets of extreme heat caused by the lack of urban tree cover, are becoming a primary driver of heat-related hospitalizations. Returning from the hospital, Pareshbhai stood on the baking asphalt where the Osolov once grew, looking at the barren ground in the midday sun. He realized then that the tree was the biological infrastructure that made the storefront safe enough for his customers and his family to exist in. A city tree is a functional piece of cooling machinery. It provides a service that benefits every person on the street. Responsible urban living allows for maintenance, like legal trimming, but it forbids the irreversible act of severing nature for short-term visibility. Every urban tree lost is a step toward turning our neighborhoods into uninhabitable heat sinks. The breathable air and tolerable temperatures we enjoy today are the legacy of the trees we choose to protect. The green canopy allows our cities to breathe. Preserving it is a requirement for our shops, our health, and our collective future.
एक कदम विकसित भारत की ओर।